Well, hi everyone, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Ferrari Challenge North America, the final race of the North American season to be held here in Mugello in Tuscany. Welcome to the Finale Mondiale, the celebration of everything that is brilliant about Ferrari. We combine not only the North American region, but also that of Asia Pacific and Europe as well. And in our North American season, we've been to Austin, to Sebring, Laguna Seca, Montreal, Indianapolis, and just a few weeks ago, we were in Homestead, Miami. But here we are for the final round in Mugello, where it's tight at the top in terms of the championships. The only champion currently is Marc Issa. He has won the Copa Shell Championship. In terms of Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am and Copa Shell Am, it's still all up for grabs. And boy, it's tight. In Trofeo Pirelli, 13 points split Cooper MacNeil and Benjamin Ites. In Trofeo Pirelli Am, there's just a point between Z-Dog, Ziad Gandor and Neil Gahani. And in Copa Shell Am, Jay Schreibman leads Brad Horstman by 3 points. That's how close it is. It's gone to the wire here in our North American season of Ferrari Challenge racing. And we have the final 30-minute race to come. That is, in terms of the championship, there is still the small matter of the world final races to come tomorrow, which are non-championship races. But, of course, the pride of the Gold Roof is critical, as we can see there. To the right-hand side is one of the coordinators for the North American Challenge, Matt Dusenberry. But that man is Cooper MacNeil, who currently leads the Drivers' Championship and has a banked pole position as well. The man that's chasing him in the championship goes from P2, Benjamin Ites. Then we find Ziad Gandor going from P3 on the grid. Then it's Ross Truest and Marc Issa. And there is Benjamin Ites, driver coached by Stefano Guy, who is the guy alongside him. Benjamin has got work to do. Basically, Benjamin Ites needs to win the race, and Cooper MacNeil needs to finish below P5 for Benjamin Ites to take the championship. We will see. The 213 car that you can see there is the car of Mark Musso. And here is our postcard of Mugello. Some highlight shots then of Mugello, this 5.245 kilometer circuit, which contains 14 turns, 6 left, 8 right, sector 1, 3 turns, sector 2, 6 turns, sector 3, 5 turns. We're just under an hour from Florence, maybe an hour 10 from Bologna. As we look at the Ross Truest car for Ferrari of Palm Beach, who's going from P4 on the grid. And there is Ziad Gandor, who leads in Trofeo Pirelli Am by 1 point over Neil Gahani. So Ziad Gandor under pressure in this race. It's been close throughout the season. And race 1 for the Ferrari Challenge North America final weekend happened, of course, yesterday as the cars assembled on the grid. Cooper MacNeil with the thumbs up from him ahead of the start of the race. And Cloud Zeneretti with a pink livery for this weekend. And as the lights went from red to green, Benjamin Ites on the inside of Cooper MacNeil. And there, the 305 car of Brad Horstman. This was the decisive moment. A backmarking car allowed Cooper MacNeil to put himself ahead of Benjamin Ites. Benjamin, though, was not going to take it lying down as Dave Musial made his way onto the gravel. And that was a very scary moment for Gianni Grilli. And you can see the excitement, and pleasingly, Gianni Grilli got out of the car and was perfectly okay. Now, Benjamin Ites got back past Cooper MacNeil, but it was a judge that he'd done that when the safety car had been called for, and therefore was penalised for that, which gave Cooper MacNeil that P1 position, which is where he starts the race from today. Pole position for Cooper MacNeil, alongside him Benjamin Ites. Then it's Ziad Gandor and Ross Twest, and Mark Issa, who's the only driver to have sealed a championship already. And then it's Cloud Senaretti going from P6 on the grid, ahead of Mark Musso and Neil Gahani and Dave Musial, Brad Horstman, Brad Davis, and Jay Schreibman occupying the next few rows of the grid, ahead of Brent Holden and John McGrew and Eric Marston. Then it's Davis and Lisa Clark and Lance Corley, ahead of Pisone Alhegi, Eileen Bildman, and Gianni Grilli going from P22 on the grid. And one Mr. Eric Prinot inside the Hublot safety car, former Ferrari Challenge champion Eric Prinot driving the Hublot safety car for our North American Ferrari Challenge race to close the season of 2019. Neil Gahani, who is P2 in the Trofeo Pirelli AM Championship, but is merely 1 point behind Ziad Gandor. Ziad Gandor has done a better job in qualifying. He goes from P3 on the grid, Neil Gahani going from P8 on the grid. The 3-0-7 car of Mark Issa. Mark Issa already champion. Something of a rock star racing driver is Mark Issa. He is the Copa champion. So it is the calm before the storm. Ferrari Challenge North America about to be unleashed for 30 minutes on this Mugello circuit. As is always the case, a rolling start for the Ferrari Challenge. The cars will be paced by the Hublot safety car before peeling into the pit lane. And then it will be the responsibility of Cooper MacNeil and Benjamin Ites to control the pace of the rolling start. And of course, Benjamin Ites needs to be ahead of Cooper MacNeil come what may. And Cooper MacNeil needs to drop to P5 or below, with Benjamin Ites winning the race before Benjamin can make it his. So Cooper MacNeil is in the prime spot, that's for sure. Has a 13-point advantage over Benjamin Ites. It's much closer in Trofeo Pirelli AM. Just 22 points splitting the top three drivers, Ziad Gandor, Neil Gahani and Dave Musial. In Copa AM, Jay Schreibman is 3 points ahead of Brad Horstman. So a lot to be settled in this particular 30-minute race of the Ferrari Challenge North America season. We're live from Mugello. I've had the privilege of being just one of the voices on the Ferrari Challenge North American season, and the racing they've provided has been simply superb, and we are expecting this race to mirror those that have gone before in this 2019 season. 22 cars lined up on the grid, ready to do battle. 11 rows of 488 Challenge cars on the Mugello circuit. And the Hublot safety car is on its way. And just as forgive us, top GT drivers Daniel Serra and James Collado, who like to make an entrance by making as much row as possible, have joined us. Daniel, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome. Is that chair all right now? You preferred 3 legs to 4, obviously.
No, it's all good.
And also here, James Collado, 2/3 of the Le Mans 24-hour winning crew. Welcome, gentlemen. The best two, okay. Alessandro Pierguidi is actually driving a racing car this afternoon. Yeah.
Yes.
we will talk to Daniel Serra and James Collado and get their views on the race as it unfolds. And I'll pass this piece of paper around to both of you because by Jiminy, in terms of North America, it's very close across 3 championships still to be won. So you can just familiarize yourself of how many things are up for grabs in this particular race as the cars are on their formation lap. So joining us on the air for their expert opinion, James Collado and Daniel Serra. And Cooper McNeil is going from pole position. Benjamin Ites is going from P2. Pole position in terms of Trofeo Pirelli AM is Jack Gandor, although it's P3 on the grid. Pole position in terms of Shell drivers is the Copa Shell champion Mark Issa, although it's P5 on the grid. And P1 in terms of Copa Shell AM is Brad Horstman, who actually goes from P10 on the grid. So 30 minutes of race action to come from the Ferrari Challenge North America. And there you can see Cooper McNeil absolutely champing at the bit as he very nearly runs into the back of the Hublot safety car, and Benjamin Ites now pulls alongside. It's at this point as they approach the final chicane, the Biondetti chicane, where they'll be told to grid up side by side, pair up, because we are about to go racing. So the music will, as always, build the anticipation as we reach the conclusion of the rolling lap. And we head towards the lights going out. Eric Prinot then driving the Hublot safety car, makes haste his escape. And here comes the music bed to drive us to the green flag. It's a long haul towards the timing line, but we get the greens now, and Cooper McNeil with a good start. Benjamin Ites is being taken by Ziad Gandor as they head towards turn number 1 and climb uphill through San Donato, which is where they will go. Cooper McNeil then, who's in the driving seat with regards to the Trofeo Pirelli Championship. Benjamin Ites in P2. So Benjamin Ites in P2 as Cooper McNeil rounds that final turn as cars go. Well, they do keep it in and on the tarmac. This North American season reaches its conclusion here in Mugello. So with 3 championships still up for grabs, the fight is going to be fraught and feisty all the way through the pack. You can be sure of that. But Cooper McNeil has done exactly what he needs to do, and he's gapped Benjamin Ites by 5/10 already as the cars make their way downhill now. Very undulating this circuit here at Mugello. And there the 365 car of Gianni Grilli, who was, of course, in the barriers and the concrete yesterday, but is back out racing again, which is great to see as the cars once again climb uphill. And mention the undulating and elevation changes that you find here at this extremely hard work Mugello circuit. And we'll find out from Daniel and James in just a moment how physically demanding this particular track is. So for the moment then, all clean and tidy from every one of the drivers. It's looking good so far. Hope that's not a commentator's curse on the way things go as they're heading towards putting the first lap in the book of this final race in the Ferrari Challenge North America. And everyone looking to gain every advantage they can, but the race is not won or lost within the first lap. Well, of course it can be lost, but generally speaking it's not necessarily won. So with the first lap in the book then, Cooper McNeil leads the race in the Trofeo Pirelli class ahead of Benjamin Ites, and has gapped Benjamin Ites by some 8/10. So all the cars then put the first lap in the book. Cooper McNeil from Benjamin Ites, then it's Neil Kahani. And going really wide there, managing to keep it on the tarmac as every driver now, and there you can see the 230 car, which is driven by Dave Musial. Dave's the family joining in the Ferrari Challenge next year. His son is going to be taking part in the Ferrari Challenge. So Dave's going to have pressure from his family as well. The Marquise car number 307. And then the 225 car that we can see of Ross West. So, as we turn our attention to our GT drivers that join us on air here, Daniel Serra and James Collado. Forgive me, Daniel, this question to James Collado, because he's got more experience of this track than you have. James, this is a track where you can't really take your eye off the ball. It's one corner leads into another. I mean, it's such a flowing track and physically demanding. You don't get a moment to breathe, do you?
No, it's a driver's track for sure. Very high speed, very long straight, so approaching T1 with 300k. It's just 200 miles an hour, so very, very quick. Yeah, you kind of fine line between being over the limit and under. Mistake is out of the outer corners, then you're off, you're on the gravel, and that's it. So it makes it look fun. You can see that right at the end of that bit of smoke.
I wonder, yes. I think that's the Marquise car as well. And
I think he has a puncture on the front right.
well spotted, Daniel. You see, me and James didn't. James spotted the smoke. I didn't.
Oh, he's still going. Fair play. So yeah, one of my favourite tracks to drive. Unfortunately, we don't get to race here. We do testing here. Kind of Ferrari cars.
Thank you, James. Well, there is the 305 car that is leading in terms of Shell Am, and that's Brad Horseman at the moment. And Brad Horseman then doing a good job in that 305 car, and there are huge problems for all. Well, the start is under investigation, so there you can see that that 307 car of Mark Issa, Mark Issa is the only driver that's come here to Mugello, having sealed a championship already, and of course he wants to try and nurse that car and keep it going and finish the final race, but doesn't look like that's going to be a possibility, Daniel. Big problems for that car.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was a puncture, but I don't know exactly. It seems to be water jet.
Yes, of course, the world final race is to come tomorrow. Well, there, the 224 car of Ziad Gandor chasing down Neil Gahani, and there you can see in replay. And wow, that was a scary moment. And I think that right behind the car there was Dave Musial, and there he has Mark Issa has brought the car in from Ferrari of Atlanta, and you can see the smoke coming off the top there. So if it was losing cooling, of course, James, that car is going to overheat, but once it goes beyond the overheating stage, it causes real problems, doesn't it?
For the engine, let's hope that he's stopped early enough. There's not too much damage. I mean, with the challenge cars, there is a bit of tolerance for the temperatures. They run quite high anyway.
Yes.
But let's see the outcome of that.
Well, what we're watching now is the battle in Trofeo Pirelli and the battle for P1. Now, Cooper McNeil, who's leading the race, is in P1 in terms of the championship as well, and has quite an advantage over the guy that's running in P2 at the moment. That's Benjamin Ites. He's got 13 points advantage. So if everything stays the way it is at the moment, Cooper McNeil has done everything. But of course, Benjamin Ites has got to keep with him. He's got to try and get past him, because he doesn't know what's going to happen in the race, Daniel. And you have to be able to be in a position to take advantage. I mean, we have seen Cooper McNeil retire during the course of the season, maybe with an issue, and therefore Benjamin Ites has got to keep on his mettle, hasn't he?
Yes, exactly. But like Cooper McNeil, of course, every driver wants to go there and win. But if he's thinking about the championship, he just needs to arrive in the end. So if Ben hits put a lot of pressure, the only thing he needs to do is just follow Ben and finish the race.
Well, Benjamin Ites then is pushing Cooper McNeil. Of course, if he can provoke a mistake, Cooper McNeil is not someone that generally...
They had a nice fight yesterday.
Yes,
yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
We have seen Cooper bow to the pressure, though, and it reminds me of right at the beginning of the season at Circuit of the Americas. You know that really the final turn as you go onto the start-finish straight at COTA. where Cooper with grip not available because, of course, the tyres had degged maximum at that point, lost the back end of the car, and Benjamin Ites was able to get by him. So Benjamin Ites overtaking Cooper McNeil, though, would not be enough for the championship. So Cooper, all he's got to do is keep it neat and tidy, and for the remaining 22 minutes of this race and 200 plus kilometers per hour through the speed trap, both Cooper McNeil and Benjamin Ites doing a good job there. Benjamin Ites was marginally quicker over the last lap. Mark Isa, well, he did lead the standings with regards to top speed. He certainly doesn't now because the car is parked up in the pit lane. So the Cooper Shell champion, unfortunately, is out of this race. Cooper McNeil continues to lead Benjamin Ites. Neil Gahani is still ahead of Ziad Gandor. And given that there's only 1 point between Neil Gahani and Ziad Gandor in terms of Trofeo Pirelli AM, that's worth keeping an eye on at the moment. They're running P3 and 4 in the race, but P1 and 2 within class. And then it's Brad Horstman who's leading the Cooper Shell AM class at the moment. And he's merely 3 points behind Jay Schreibman, who is P2 in class at the moment. So it's still very, very close. And we still have 20 minutes of racing to do. Extraordinarily, as you can see, Neil Gahani and Ziad Gandor, I'm guessing, James, that as these two are focusing on their own battle here, that has allowed Cooper and Benjamin just to get up the road, because they're something like 11 seconds up the road.
Yeah, you can see quite a big difference at that time. The two runners are in the 54s and third and fourth are 57, so within 3 seconds of that. I would say that's scrappy in the race. I'd say that's a little bit of pace as well.
Of course, they're in different classes, James, aren't they?
Well, there you go, yeah, you said it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that would be this one was really close.
And it's a fight for the championship as well.
Absolutely right. Yes, absolutely right. So Ziad Gandor is behind Neil Gahani at the moment.
We did it,
As he tries to come back at him. Oh my goodness me! Oh, James.
Did I jinx it or what?
I think it was completely down to you. Well, that is Ziad Gandor, then, who was leading the championship. Surely the race direction will take a look at that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
Because it was on the corner exit, it was quite strange. Yeah.
Just me a bit of a mistake. Clipped the back end and centre over. Yeah.
From how I saw that, Neil Gahani behind Ziad Gandor, and there was a touch, wasn't there? Well, it's under investigation, as you can imagine, but for the moment, Neil Gahani obviously is keep our eyes on messages to come from race control. In the meantime, Cooper McNeil 5/10 ahead of Benjamin Ites. And into the Buccini turn they go, running downhill now, and then it's this very, very long straight where there's two sort of parts where you climb uphill. There is part one, if you like. And then it levels out before you reach another climb before heading in towards turn number one. There you can see it quite clearly on the screens, and you can also quite clearly see the pace advantage that they have relative to the rest of the field. Cooper McNeil and Benjamin Ites both in, as James has correctly said, in the 54s, whereas everyone else is in the 57s or 56s. So it is quite a pace difference. Then in P3 is Neil Gahani, and we just saw that instant between Neil Gahani and Ziad Gandor, which is made ever more topical because, of course, they're P1 and P2 in the Drivers' Championship. Then the 213 car of Mark Musso, that blue and yellow machine that you can see, the battle for P3 in terms of Trofeo Pirelli between Ross Twest and Mark Musso. So Ross Twest then and Mark Musso fighting it out over the final podium place. We're live with the Ferrari Challenge North America final race of their season, barring the World Finals tomorrow. And the race being led by Cooper McNeil, who's got 7/10 of an advantage over Benjamin Ites, but plenty of action going on elsewhere. all the way through the pack of cars as the final points will be awarded. Brent Holden and Dave Musial are fighting for this final podium place in terms of Trofeo Pirelli Am. And there you can see Dave Musial on the back of Brent Holden and just almost close enough to push Brent Holden. And what he'll be hoping for is to try and get him to make a mistake if at all possible. That'll just give him the hope that he needs to try and find a way by. And is it true, gentlemen, that here at Mugello, more than any other circuit, you know, the only way to make an overtake is almost to provoke a mistake ahead?
I think James can answer better because he drove here, but for sure you have some corners that you can try to dive and go for it, especially corner one if you have a good exit from the last corner. But yeah, like putting pressure in the car in front and making him do a mistake, it's always a way to go through.
Well, thus far, Dave Musial has not been able to push Brent Holden into making that error, so they're fighting over that P3 place in terms of Trofeo Pirelli Am. John McGrew doing a good job, who's P2 in Trofeo Pirelli Am at the moment, but he's running in P6, and the live gap between Brent Holden and Dave Musial on the screen for you now. And you can see Brent Holden is trying to make haste his escape up the road, isn't he? Is Dave Musial going to be able to follow that through? The 305 car of Brad Horstman now is between the two of them. And as always, anxious team members from the pit wall look on. A drive-through penalty has been awarded to Neil Gahani in car number 236. I'm tempted to say quelle surprise. It seemed to me like that was probably always going to be the case. No. To look at now, though, of course, is Ziad Gandor, Neil Gahani and Dave Musial were the ones fighting over that Trofeo Pirelli Am championship. Neil Gahani is, of course, getting that drive-through penalty, but it's John McGrew is P2, Brent Holden is P3. Now, Dave Musial is currently P4, so it really will depend where Gahani comes back after taking his drive-through penalty in terms of the points haul, because we have to look at the points within the class rather than in the race overall. We will get to that, and people cleverer than us are working on those points as we speak. Cooper McNeil has not been allowed to rest very much, but he has managed to gap Benjamin Ites by some 8/10. And their confirmation of that drive-through penalty for car number 236, and Neil Gahani actually dives into the pit lane now to take that drive-through penalty. Presumably, the team have said you've got to take it straight away because he's on his way.
I think they will be close. The fight will be.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Oh, well, hopefully we'll get a replay of that, and our TV direction listen to what we're saying. So if there was some question as to, I mean, if you cross the white line, that's another penalty. Don't think that's the case. Well, we'll try and do that if we can then. And now Benjamin Ites is really pushing Cooper McNeil for all he's worth. Now, Cooper McNeil leads the race. He also leads the Drivers' Championship. Now, surely, in the position that Cooper McNeil is in, where he's 13 points to the advantage, Benjamin Ites getting by him would not be enough for Benjamin to win the championship. Rather than get involved in a scrap with him, would he not be better just to let him go?
Yeah, but we want to win. As a drivers, we want to win. But I don't know if you remember, in the previous race, the race was decided with the traffic, and they are just to catch the traffic again, so we can see some interesting fighting now.
Well, we will see. To the moment, we've not seen anything on our message screen with regards to the white line at pit exit being crossed, but trust me, race control will have and will be looking at that. And if there was any question of that, then there's no doubt about it, a penalty would be awarded. But this is Benjamin Ites then, who just on the last lap or so really closed in on Cooper MacNeil ahead of him. But now Cooper has responded by finding another 3 tenths to put between himself and Benjamin Ites. Cooper MacNeil for Ferrari Westlake, the collection, the dealer representative of Benjamin Ites as they climb uphill now. Cooper MacNeil, who of course does a lot of racing, and once again he really closes on Cooper MacNeil here. So it's exactly as they were, P1 and P2. Yes. When you set a car up, James, of course you take into account the nuances, if you like, of every single circuit, but the setup is always a compromise, isn't it? You can't make it perfect for everywhere on the track. Now this is interesting because John Maygrue is currently leading this Trofeo Pirelli AM chase. Dave Musial, who is P3 in the points in Trofeo Pirelli AM, desperately needs to get past John Maygrue, who isn't in the top 3 in terms of the championship. Therefore, Dave Musial, who of course went into this race P3 in the Drivers' Championship, 21 points behind to stand any hope of maximising his opportunity in the championship, needs to get by him. Interestingly, the fastest lap just comes from Cooper MacNeil, who was a couple of tenths quicker than Benjamin Ites. Oh, that was a big sideways moment, wasn't it? And I think that is the 214 car of Brent Holden. And that, against John Maygrue, I think is what allowed Dave Musial to really close in. We just saw a shot of Mark Issa looking on then. We look at the 305 car, Brad Horseman, who's leading in Copa Shell AM at the moment. There is Dave Musial, who for the moment is stuck in that P2 position and cannot find a way past John Maygrue. There, the 225 Ross Chwest machine. As you just begin to encounter traffic now. And what have we got? We're into the final third of the race with 9 minutes remaining. Mark Musso in that blue and yellow liveried car, heading towards the final chicane. And the cars cross the timing line, and here is P1 and P2 in the race overall. Cooper MacNeil and Benjamin Ites. Just 8.5 minutes and however many laps between Cooper MacNeil and the checkered flag, which would seal the championship for him if everything stayed the way it is right now. But Benjamin Ites is certainly not letting him get away with it here. So if the race finished now, Cooper MacNeil would win the championship. Neil Kahani would be P1 in terms of Trofeo Pirelli AM, ahead of Ziad Gandor and Dave Musial, and in Copa Shell AM it would be Brad Horseman, 2 points ahead of Jay Schreibman. That's if the race were to finish now, which clearly it's not going to. So, still, things can change between now and the checkered flag. And these two, it's been fascinating. I've had the privilege of commentating on this series all season long, and it's been nip and tuck between these two all season long. But what's been really nice about it, Daniel Serra, is the fact that it's been a very fair fight between them all the time, you know, and that must make it even more rewarding. And you can see just how hard Benjamin Ites is pushing there as he loses tarmac and ends up on the grass. But I'm convinced that should it stay this way, both Cooper MacNeil and Benjamin Ites will embrace at the end of the race, because they have had a huge season together.
Yeah, it's great when you see like nice and hard battles, but always fair. And it's always better when you win with good competition. You know,
Yes.
we like the competition, and it's nice to see them racing so close. Yesterday was the same. The race was decided with the traffic, and now they are getting the traffic again. So let's see what happens.
So the live gap between them is 3/10 then. Cooper McNeil to Benjamin Ites as we're into the final 7 minutes of the race. P1, 2 and 3 in terms of Trofeo Pirelli Pro is Cooper McNeil, Benjamin Ites and Ross Twest. In terms of Trofeo Pirelli Am, it's John McGrew, Dave Musial and Brent Holden. Shell Am, it's Brad Horseman ahead of Jay Schreibman and Mark Davis. And in terms of Shell drivers, it's Brian Davis that's leading the way over Lance Corley. And of course, we've lost Mark Issa. So these two that have fought tooth and nail all season long, and they've continued the fight through this weekend as well. And as has been mentioned, yesterday it was backmarking traffic and the way they managed the traffic that brought a close to the race. And they continue to lap in the 55s when everyone else is in the 58s and 57s. There is Dave Musial, who, despite everything, has not been able to find a way past John McGrew, and that would change the points situation. Don't think it would be enough, and you can see as Dave Musial pushes as hard as he did there, James, and that reinforces this track, doesn't it? That it bites you on the bottom if you push just a little bit too hard. Well, good, clean and tidy racing that was seen from Ferrari Challenge North America. And this in replay then as Dave Musial pushes and pushes and pushes, and there just tips those tyres onto the gravel and loses a little bit of momentum, and that's why John McGrew has gapped him by a couple of car lengths now. But equally, they, of course, are coming across traffic also, and it's how they'll manage that. And Neil Kahani is coming up behind them, I believe, also. So there. Now, having got past Cooper McNeil, we didn't see that, but Benjamin Ites has put himself ahead of Cooper McNeil. We're about to get a replay of how the overtake happened. I wonder if traffic played its part in it again. We will see in just a moment. Here comes Benjamin Ites then, who's got backmarking cars ahead of him. He's flashing his lights furiously to make them aware of the fact that they are coming through, but he has put himself ahead of Cooper McNeil, and this is how he did it. Well, you could see that Cooper was going to turn in, and the gap that he wanted to turn into was full of Benjamin Ites.
Yeah, that was pretty late on the brakes. It was last big breakers, but I think
It was fair, wasn't it?
yeah, Cooper did the right thing. Could have been more aggressive.
Whoa! Well, safety car comes out, and that'll be the reason why the 363 car of Jay Schreibman for Corley Ferrari of Detroit is in the gravel, and where that car is situated with just 3.5 minutes left. I didn't put the commentator's curse on it because I didn't say it. I said, do you know what? We might get a race that doesn't finish under the safety car, but...
I think you're wrong.
Is that Dave Musial? I think that's the Dave Musial car.
Only 20 years old, he made all what he can.
So, unfortunately for Jay Schreibman, who's been something of an absolute star in Ferrari Challenge this year, ends his challenge season in the gravel. And we have the safety car deployed. Now, Benjamin Ites leads the race from Cooper McNeil, ahead of Ross Twest and Mark Musso. The top 4 drivers are all Trofeo Pirelli Pro drivers. In terms of the AMs, it's John McGrew ahead of Brent Holden. I think I'm right. It was Dave Musial that had gone round. That pushes Dave Musial back to P3. There's Eric Marston in the 348 car. And in terms of Shell, Brian Davis ahead of Lance Corley. And, well, it's been decided this is the final lap. And to the best of my knowledge, I think, doing the calculations that we can, this will mean that Cooper McNeil wins the Trofeo Pirelli Championship by 7 points, 250 to 243. In Trofeo Pirelli Am, it will be Neil Gahani who will beat Ziad Gandor by 1 point. Dave Musial will be third, and then in Coperchel Am, it will be Brad Horseman ahead of Jay Schreibman. Those are our back of a envelope calculations made live while we're on the air as well. And I have to say, gentlemen, it's a bit of a damp squib when the race finishes behind the safety car, isn't it? I don't get a lot right, you know, but on that occasion that was Dave Musial that had gone round. I think that was a completely separate incident, wasn't it? But yeah, it doesn't happen, does it? So, final lap then behind the safety car, bringing to a close the Ferrari Challenge North America season. And what a brilliant season it has been. Of course, there is the pride of the Gold Roof to come tomorrow, the world final race. Trofeo Pirelli Am, then John McGrew, P1, Brent Holden, P2, Dave Musial, P3. Despite the spin, still get a podium out of it. And we're on board with the Eric Prenot-driven Hublot safety car with Benjamin Ites, who he can do no more than win the race, but James, when you're in a situation where you need somebody else to fall over, all you can do is max your points haul, but you are reliant on others, you know, going wrong.
Yeah, you just how many things those things go to races, you just let your jam, knowing you took the best choices
Isn't there a law of averages that says, though, it happens to everyone at some point, doesn't it? So the car's then heading towards the checkered flag behind the safety car to bring the final race of the Ferrari Challenge North America Season to a close, and taking the win will be Benjamin Ites. And he does take the checkered flag, not in the way that he would like. He wins ahead of Cooper McNeil and Ross Chouest, and then it's Mark Musso, John McGrew and Brent Holden ahead of Brad Horstman and Brian Davis, and Dave Musial and Neil Gahani and Mark Davis. Good showing from Lisa Clark, who will take P12 in the race overall. So you can see the standings all displayed in graphics on the screen. And well, it has been fascinating to watch this battle between Cooper McNeil and Benjamin Ites all season long. And I think I should say credit to Benjamin Ites, who of course comes from you know, a Chilean background, and therefore the North American tracks that he's raced on have been unfamiliar, whereas Cooper McNeil does a lot of racing. He's a well-known racing name, and therefore he's always had that advantage of track knowledge. So I think that makes Benjamin Ites' achievements even more creditable. And he's clearly not scared of having a go. Yes. Yes, the world final race is to come, the Gold Roof races, as I call them. So, we're with the race done and dusted. We say thanks very much to James Collado and also to Daniel Serra for sparing their time and spending their time with us on the air. But as always, really appreciated, guys, and thanks so much. So there you can see Stefano Guy. Fastest lap, incidentally, came from Benjamin Ites. He has looked quick all weekends, but as far as we believe, having done the calculations, or I should credit Brian Oliver alongside me, who's done the calculations, who's acted as my producer all weekend long. It'll be 250 points to Cooper McNeil, 243 to Benjamin Ites. In terms of Trofeo Pirelli Am, it'll be 176 to Neil Gahani to 175 to Ziad Gandor. And in Copa Am, it'll be 167 to 152 between Brad Horstman and Jay Schreibman, who of course ended the race in the gravel. Well, both of them are very proud of what they've achieved. Benjamin Ites, of course, winner of the race. Cooper McNeil, winner of the championship. Cooper McNeil almost in parallel with Benjamin Ites, was on the roof of the car. And as James Collado and Daniel Serra pointed out, it was really, really nice to see them both stick the thumbs up at each other on the final cooling down lap, because they have raced supremely fairly and competitively all season long. Well done, Cooper McNeil, champion. So some great photos there of Benjamin Ites. And of course the celebrations will continue down there in Parc Fermé. Here comes John Maygrue, who wins the Trofeo Pirelli Am race for Ferrari of Long Island.
That was awesome. Great job.
That was awesome. Great job. Good to hear that. And the 305 car of Brad Horstman. Oh, he's pretty happy as well.
Oh, dude, I'm fucking proud of you. You did it, bud. You did it. Whoa. Good fun. Good job. All right.
And there's Brian Davis.
That was incredible. Good run. Thanks, babe. Good run. Woo!
Okay, let's take a look at the highlights of that race. So as the lights went from red to green and the race got underway, Cooper McNeil nailed the start of the race, and initially in trouble was Benjamin Ites, but he soon got it back, pointing in the right direction. Mark Issa, who's had a absolutely stellar season, sadly, as you can see, was not going to be able to finish the season the way he wanted to, but hopefully he'll be okay for the world final race to come on Sunday. Great race action going on there between Neil Gahani and the 224 car, Ziad Gandor. Lots of emotions. And Benjamin Ites doing absolutely everything he could. And John Maygrue under pressure from Dave Musial. And that's how hard Dave Musial was pushing in the 230 car. This was the moment that Benjamin Ites put himself ahead of Cooper McNeil. And you can see the family's delight down there in the pit lane. Regrettably, with Jay Schreibman in the gravel, the race would finish under the safety car. It would be P1 for Benjamin Ites, but P1 in the championship would go to Cooper McNeil by virtue of his P2 finish. Nonetheless, they celebrated in Parc Fermé with Benjamin Ites for the race win and Cooper McNeil with the championship win in terms of Trofeo Pirelli Pro. And the class categories then, Benjamin Etes, Cooper McNeil, Ross Trest for Trofeo Pirelli. In the AMs, John McGrew, Brent Holden and Dave Musial, the 1, 2, 3. Then it was Brian Davis, Lance Corley and Cloud Senaretti in the Shell drivers. And for Shell AM, Brad Horseman. Then it was Davis and Clark taking P2 and P3. So we will be heading up to the podium next to see the celebrations. So we think, with our calculations, in terms of Trofeo Pirelli AM, that Neil Gahani has taken it by 1 point over Ziad Gandor. The only way that would alter is if Ziad Gandor is awarded a point for the fastest lap, which unfortunately the information we have doesn't determine that. And then they would only tie on points. So we can only run with the information that we have available to us. So we're standing by for the podiums then. And get super slow-mos of the 305 car of Brad Horseman that has won the Shell AM. Super slow-mo there of the 328 car. That lovely livery, absolutely love that, of the Ferrari of Palm Beach entry for Brian Davis, who takes P1 in terms of Shell. John McGrew in 223 then will take P1 in terms of Trofeo Pirelli AM, and Benjamin Etes for Trofeo Pirelli taking P1. And there, that's a great shot of Cooper McNeil's race helmet. And Stefano Guy ahead of the start of the race then. And Mark Issa, who sadly didn't finish the race. A bit of camera art there on the Dave Musial car as we follow it through the reflections. And the 225 car, driven by Ross Twest. That's how hard Dave Musial was pushing at 1 point. Dip the tyres onto the gravel. And the excitement. You can see Mark Issa in the back of the picture there, and Miguel Molina meeting some of the race fans already. So everyone assembled in the pit lane then. That brings to a conclusion the season across all the Ferrari Challenge regions. It's just the world final races to come. And they are contested on Sunday, along with the fantastic Ferrari show to come as well. So we can hear Michele Mambelli then getting the drivers organised and ready for their podiums. There is Cooper McNeil. And here comes Benjamin Etes. So we await the national anthem. Baseball caps are redonned. Hope that's Tony Vallanda. Indeed it is. Official Ferrari GT driver making the trophy presentations. Of course, he knows Cooper McNeil well. Tony Vallanda competes a lot in the States. And Benjamin Etes receives the race winner's trophy. Franco Vaccari then from Pirelli makes the Pirelli trophy. Presentation to Benjamin Ites.
Lift your trophy, please. Lift and smile. Okay? E adesso vertical champagne.
So the champagne is sprayed liberally with Benjamin Ites, Cooper McNeil and Ross Drest. Great camaraderie between them, uber competitive, but in Trofeo Pirelli Am, we're going to see John McGrew, Brent Holden and Dave Musial ahead of the championship protagonists going into the race, Neil Garni and Siad Dandor. But the top three, John McGrew, Brent Holden and Dave Musial. See, unfortunately, we lost Cloud Ceneretti and also Mark Issa. And in terms of Shell Am classification, Brad Horseman, and it was Mark Davis and Lisa Clark doing a very good job indeed. So we stand by for the, we'll bring you as many of the podiums as we can and our broadcasters will allow. And the next podium already in process. Here comes John McGrew to take the top step. Again, really good camaraderie between John McGrew and Brent Holden. And Dave Musial, National Anthem.
Applausi, applausi, applausi.
Applausi, applausi. Here comes the trophy presentations once again. Tony Valanda, official Ferrari GT driver, who of course has done a lot of racing in the States and been very, very successful. Making the trophy presentations to Dave Musial, to Brent Holden, and of course to John McGrew. And of course, John McGrew receiving another trophy because he's gentleman racer, and now he's got the Pirelli trophy as well. He's going to struggle there, isn't he? Look at that collection of silverware.
Lift your trophy, please, and smile. Okay? And now we are ready for champagne.
Dave Musial. He was ready there, wasn't he? Aimed perfectly. So great champagne celebrations then at the Trofeo Pirelli Am podium. Regrettably, I don't think we're going to be able to bring you the Shell and Shell Am podiums because as we see the super slow-mos of the winning cars, this is Brad Horseman for Shell Am. Pio Pirelli. So that really is just about it from us in terms of Ferrari Challenge North America. Don't forget, though, the big world final races to come tomorrow. And the first one of those is at 0800 GMT, 900 local. Make sure you join us for that. Bye-bye for now.
Il nostro applauso per questo podio dei vincitori. Salutiamo anche il dottor Piotore, presidente della Ferrari Nord America, che consegna il trofeo al terzo classificato a Claude Senoretti. Trofeo d'onore per Lance Coley. Matteo Torre, presidente e il trofeo per Brian Davis, il vincitore di questa gara 2 di serata campionato nordamericano. Trofeo anche per il team, per Ferrari Podium. And now please, all together on the first step of this podium, please. Wait one moment for... Okay, champagne, champagne. Il vincitore Brad Hoffman. Per quanto riguarda il team Frank Cars Italia sul podio. Inno nazionale, National Anthem. sfumanino nazionale americano con sempre il dottor Matteo Torre, presidente Ferrari Nord America, che consegna i trofei d'onore per Lisa Clark, terza classificata in questa gara 2 Nord America per quanto riguarda la Shell AM, secondo classificato Batteris e il vincitore è Brad Osman. Consegna il trofeo alla Ladies, trofeo Ladies per Lisa Clark, ed ecco il trofeo per il team, per Ferrari Cars Italia, e il trofeo consegnato sempre dal dottor Matteo Torre. Per quanto riguarda il campionato nordamericano, e adesso gli sguardi e i pensieri sono tutti per le finali mondiali. Siamo pronti per lo Champagne.